Today we're going to be working with a 1/10 scale Kyosho RB 6.6 body. This is for a two-wheel drive buggy. Most bodies come molded with a flat piece of trim around the bottom. We start by trimming off this flat flashing first. It's easiest to ride your scissors along the crease of the bottom of the body, as this is the point where it's the thinnest. Usually requires little effort, cutting around sharp edges, and then just riding the scissors along the crease at the bottom. It's easy to perform this with a set of curved Lexan scissors. I exclusively use curved scissors when trimming bodies because it's easiest to see where you're cutting and cut around curves. Once I've removed the flashing from the bottom of the body, I'll start on one of the ends. I typically like to start with the rear end of the car. Most newer cars have multiple different transmission layouts that they use. The manufacturers of the bodies will typically include lines that represent these different layouts. Once I've determined the layout of the car, I'll start by removing a larger section of the rear cap of the body. This will make it easier to trim to the appropriate lines. When you're trimming and you get into tight spots, you can always stop and cut from a different direction. It's always important to favor your dominant hand in the direction that's easiest to cut, where you have more control. As you're cutting, you can bend the Lexan out and ride the scissors by leaning them over and almost making them parallel with the Lexan. I'll continue to remove the rear cap, cutting fairly close to the lines that I need to cut. You can see here that I'm using my right hand to favor the cutting direction that's the easiest and gives me the most accuracy. Once again, you can see that I'm pulling the Lexan away from the body and riding my scissors close to the line. Now that I've removed a larger section of the cap, I'll start to trim right on the lines. The curved Lexan scissors make it much easier to follow the line and also to start cutting in if you cut out. You can cut around tight spots and sharp edges with curved scissors much easier than you can with straight ones. Just remember, you can always stop. That's probably the most important thing when you're cutting these bodies. If you start to get out of shape or get away from the line, just stop. It's always easier to correct a small mistake versus a big one. Continue to trim your body until you're satisfied that you're close enough to the lines and your edges look good. After you're done trimming with scissors, you might be left with sharp corners that have small burrs in them. You can always go back and clean these up carefully with a hobby knife or a rotary tool like a Dremel and a small sanding drum. Here you can see I'm trimming off the margin around the bottom of the body. I'm being really careful not to cut the scissors all the way through and to make sure I'm continuing the cut. This will keep from creating jagged edges and help you preserve a nice straight line as you continue. Once I get to the front of the body, I'm going to use the same techniques that I used on the rear of the body to remove the front cap. I'm cutting close to the lines to remove enough Lexan to gain access to make my final cuts. Make sure that when you're cutting the tight corners towards the top of the body, that you're folding the Lexan away as you did on the rear. This will help you ride the scissors along the contours of the body and be able to cut a nice smooth curve. Again, if you have any sharp edges or burrs left, you can touch them up with a Dremel or a hobby knife. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video here, but you can see me finish trimming the front and the other side of the body all the way to completion. And there you have it. Now we're all finished trimming and we're ready to start our liquid masking process. For more information on liquid masking, check out video number 1 in my Pro Painting Tips series. And as always, thank you for watching and be sure to check back for more videos.